Old school. Well, what do you call yourself, Jordan? Just the originals?
Original podcast gangster, maybe, if you can put all those things together. That's how I modestly refer to myself right now.
No, you should. Have you got a t-shirt and thing saying podcast gangster?
No, but if there's anybody that should make a t-shirt that says that, it should be you.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 294. Hope you're amazing as always. I'm always going to say it. Guess I mean it. Do you know what? Welcome to another episode of Mindset by Design, the best of Mindset by Design. And do you know what? I'm always pumped about going over these episodes the past few weeks, and I'm going to keep them going because there's so many amazing guests from back in the day. Remember, I've been doing this for over 6 years. And we've just had so many cool people come on. And I want to be able to share that because there's so many different audiences and people find podcasts at all different stages. And definitely wasn't 6 years ago, right? If you've been listening for 6 years over to this podcast, then hey, you got to email me. You got to message me. You got to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, somewhere. You've got to connect with me and just let me know what was the first episode you ever listened to. Because today, obviously, if you don't know Jordan Harbinger, then you probably should. He is, as he said at the start of the show, this is an old podcast, right? This is going back to, it's going back, I think we were on episode 47 or something. We're just coming up to 300 now. So Jordan was still a huge superstar in the podcast world, even back then. But now, whole different level. Do you know what I mean? He does 11 million downloads a month. Did you hear that? 11 million a month. He also got voted by Apple to be in the top 10 education podcast on the whole platform. Some of his guests are absolutely mind-blowing. They really, really are. I mean, we're talking the who's who. People from, Ray Dalio. If you don't know Ray Dalio, probably should. Kobe Bryant, Danny Trello, Malcolm Gladwell, Dennis Rodman, T.I., Mark Cuban, Matthew McConaughey. Goes on, right? But it just goes on. And this guy is cool, he's awesome, and definitely one of the pioneers. And you should check him out. Today, in this episode, you know what? Jordan shows how brilliant he is. And because it's such a long time ago, it's really, really cool to go back over these things. Because what we talk about is so many different things. And it's really, really cool to be able to, it's like looking into the future. Do you know what I mean? We talked about the future of the industry and where everything's moving to. And Jordan was really on point. And it's amazing to look back and see how futuristic he was in his thinking. And he understood this industry even back then. And now, well, guess what? It's a whole different level. So it's amazing to look at someone's brain and understand their mindset. And we definitely go into all of that good stuff today. So I know you're going to enjoy it, and if you don't know Jordan, definitely check his show out. And speaking of checking out, make sure you're heading over to those show notes and make sure you are doing a couple of things. Firstly, you all need to be in my Facebook group. We've got 3,000 plus people in there, all hanging out, all entrepreneurs, all interested in driving their life forwards in business. That's what you're coming for. So go and check that out. And also remember, this is about outthinking your competition in these wild times. And that's why I created the FireMind experience. Now, a lot of you out there have already jumped on and you've sorted your mornings out because you're training your brain, your unconscious mind in the mornings, right? That's what we're lighting up. We're not just writing notes no, we're really creating change deep inside of ourselves in the unconscious mind and our nervous system. So guess what that means? It means you can wake up every day and feel amazing, pumped up, focused over your money issues and ready for the day. And guess what? Yes, it's all connected with brainwaves and I take you on a journey. And that's the FireMind morning. So go there, firemind.me. If you really want to take things to a whole new level and find out what the Fire Mind experience is or the Fire Mind formula is, well, guess what? You can do that too. Because the Fire Mind formula is something I've created over 19 years of working with some of the best in the world, from world champion athletes to 9-figure CEOs to everyone you can imagine in between, Hollywood actors, and even royalty. And what I'm able to do is pretty special. And I want to take you there too. So the Fire Mind experience, if you're in sales, if you're in real estate, if you're a trader, if you're growing any business or want to take your life and income to a whole new level, then you need to be involved. End of discussion. You need to be involved because the formula is a mastermind. The formula is mentoring. The formula is digital training. All of those things combined cost so much money for people, right? Tens of thousands a year for people. Well, I'm giving it to you. Well, guess what? You're going to come and find out. So why don't you hit the show notes, or you go to firemind.me/apply-4-Firemind, and you're going to see an amazing page there, and it's going to tell you all about exactly what this is. You're able to book a chat with us, so you can go and watch the training there, which is absolutely brilliant. It's going to teach you the circuit breaker technique to really disconnect that old and the new you, but in your brain, right? This is all about NLP. This is all about neuroscience, and it's all about taking things to a whole new level and giving you the skills and techniques and tools that I've taught to thousands and thousands and thousands of people and some of the biggest names in the world. So remember, this is designer performance for creativity and flow, simply to outthink your competition in today's fast and wild times. That is why you need the Fire Mind formula. So head over there right now, head over the show notes, and let's go and enjoy chatting to Jordan, and I will see you at the end of the show. Okay, today, well, you've heard my fantastic intro, I'm sure, everybody. But this is going to be a fun podcast. This is going back to one of the original podcast pros, old school. What do you call yourself, Jordan? Just the originals?
Original podcast gangster, maybe, if you can put all those things together. That's how I modestly refer to myself right now.
No, you should. Have you got a t-shirt and thing saying podcast gangster?
No, but if there's anybody that should make a t-shirt that says that, it should be you. And I'll put it in the closet with all of the polos and little visors that you get from your bank and things like that you can only wear when you don't mind looking homeless.
Are you giving me shit for being British?
Maybe.
Is that what it is?
People, those banks and stuff, they give away like t-shirts and hats and stuff, and you're like, who's gonna wear a hat that says like Chase Bank? I mean, that's like someone's old Chinese grandpa would wear that. I was about
to say, I think those visors. I've got a lot of Asian friends, and I've seen their parents wear those visors, so it's not being racist.
That's it. It's literally it. Those are the only people that'll wear these things.
But they look like they're 150 when they're like 450, so they're doing okay.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I was gonna say, people who look old that are like Asian, they're 20 years older than they look.
For sure.
The people who look like they're 90 when they're Asian, they're like 100. It's ridiculous.
I think that's what I'm going to... Seeing as we're talking about Jordan today for everyone out there, you've had my intro, so you know what all this podcast is about. It's so you being like one of the old school podcasting gangsters. When did you start these things?
Me and AJ started the show in 2006, and I think we released the first one in like December of 2006, and then by 2007 we were cranking away.
Nice.
Running this, and we were on Sirius XM before 2007 was over. I think we might have been. It might have been 2008 by that point. I don't know. Things start to blur together. I'm getting older,
Yeah, we all are, mate. We all. So I was going to ask you about Sirius. So you were old school Sirius. So your show was on Sirius.
It was, yeah, and it wasn't even Sirius XM at that point. It was just Sirius.
So that's how old school you are, man.
Yeah, exactly, and that was great. up until the point where you realize that the only people that listen to that are people that listen to Howard Stern, and then everybody else is like a truck driver in Canada. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not necessarily our target demographic. So it became kind of like, all right, what's the deal here?
We got to mix it up. So did people didn't even have iPhones or understand what podcasts were, and nothing back then?
iPhone, as far as I know, did not exist. And you certainly couldn't play. I mean, nobody even had MP3 players back then. You had iTunes if you organized your MP3s with iTunes, and then you could like be daring and go in and try to look for podcasts. And that's actually, I don't know how detailed and serious you want me to get here, but that's actually something that's really exciting right now and this should excite you too, is we're getting the podcast app native on iOS 8 on the iPhone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so for those, and what that means for people who are like, what did he just say? What that means is the new iPhone OS is going to have the Apple podcasting app in there, just like it has mail, just like it has phone, like it has SMS. So what that means is tons of people who've never heard of podcasts are going to be, of course, more and more people are converting to smartphones from those who, holdouts that have other things, and people are converting from Android and whatnot. But they're going, oh, what's this purple podcast thing? I'm going to look at the top charts. Oh, look, Art of Charm. So I'm expecting to see a major, as soon as that iPhone thing upgrades, I'm excited. I'm going to look at my stats, that month, later on this month and next month, and just be like, because I'm expecting my audience to increase by thousands and thousands of people, if not more.
Is that right? And see, mate, this is why you're a professional. I'm still a baby at doing this. How many episodes have you done?
Oh, man. Well, right now, the one that I just released yesterday, let me double check, because I've done a lot more bonus ones and stuff like that. I just released episode number 314.
Damn. And I was impressed because I did like episode number 24 or something.
That's actually probably more impressive. Once you get up to, after episode 10, everything's really impressive. Up to about episode 100, after which it's like, okay, you're doing this. This is what you're doing this now. It's not something that you're going to do for a while and then like lose interest and friggin' quit. Most people quit before 10 episodes.
Really? Because that's what I was going to say to you, because to get that far, I mean, it is a real commitment in itself, because I see, because I was scrolling through, before I started this, obviously you got to do your research, and I was a podcast freak anyway, but then it's like, you see all these half of the podcast on iTunes are like, there's not many episodes. People start them and that's it.
Exactly. And you know what's probably going to happen, or at least what I would imagine is going to happen, is you're going to see Apple coming up with, just due to the massive amount of shows that are now orphaned, you're going to see them change their ranking system so that new shows that are really good can get more traction, because right now there's too much competition for new guys to really get in there. And then you're going to see that there's some sort of auto dead show remover, feed hasn't been updated in a year, dead.
Yeah, that's good though.
It's very good, because it's really annoying. Not for me. I'm sort of able to get past all that now, but
for me,
there's for guys like you, and I help a lot of guys. I help a ton of guys start shows and work with them on their shows and things like that. And it's frustrating for them. Say, one of my good friends, in fact, the CTO of The Art of Charm, he runs a tech-related show, and there's a show in there that's been dead for years, but it's run by a guy he's really popular, and he's got a popular blog, and he's got 8 other popular shows, and that show outranks him, even though it hasn't been updated in 6 months to a year. And it's just like, that's really discouraging.
Yeah,
when you're in there competing with somebody who hasn't even bothered to freaking push anything out for a year, and your newest thing is not even on the same page.
That doesn't even make sense.
No.
Come on, Apple, sort your shit out. That's no good, man.
Yeah.
Jordan, you're one of the pioneers, man. You should be all over this, and you should be having a little a seance or something with Steve and sort this out.
Sure. I mean, luckily, Apple's actually really cool about being responsive to people who do shows. They realize that at some level there's value here.
Right.
For people to continue to make their podcasters happy. And I think it's because nobody can mess with the amount of free stuff that's out there for Apple, and we are constantly pushing our own stuff. So, once Apple does make a play for cars and automobiles, yeah, you're going to be competing against Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn Radio, all those places that have some podcasts on them. But Apple can go, we've already got more content than everybody else. And there's never any way that they can catch up because all of those, unless they index podcasts as well, but Apple's always going to be the top aggregate, or not always. Currently, right now, is the top aggregator. iTunes is where it's at, and they've got the stranglehold, so to speak, on the smartphone market. People argue all the time about Android, but that's multiple companies making multiple models of multiple phones that don't support podcasts natively. So, I mean, it's a different sort of landscape, and so for people out there who are running successful podcasts, we are in a really kick-ass position right now.
And it's just really starting to take off now. I know you've been one of the pioneers for sure, but it's really starting to grow now. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because it's like, you're right, it's just inundated with new podcasts just like mine, you know? I'm just lucky that I know a lot of good people that we both know, so I can get good guests on. Otherwise, I'd be in, you know?
You'd be screwed, yeah. I mean,
totally
dude.
Screwed.
You can't get good guests to save your life unless you have strong personal connections or your show has the numbers to back it up. I feel bad for people. It's funny. People are always like, Jordan, we need you to come on and give tips for launching a show. And I'm thinking, I haven't launched a show since 2006, 2007. So I don't know if I'm the greatest person to talk about launching a show. I mean, there's different things that I would do now, sure. And I can give great tips that somebody who's really good at podcasting launches might not be able to do, but at the end of the day, I haven't really done that in a long time. I'm actually going to be doing it really soon. I'm going to launch a different show that's a spin-off of the Art of Charm podcast, where it's actually me live coaching people with Kim, who's also a coach at the Art of Charm. So I'll be able to tell you whether or not, you know, I know how to launch a show, but it's going to be tough. I mean, you got to mobilize a lot of people. But it's funny because now I can get guests because I'm getting 1 million downloads a month. But if you're not getting that kind of numbers, or you're not in a group like you and I are, where we have access to people, who the hell's going to come on your show? Why should they do that? It's a waste of time.
That is a very good point, and it's something, you know, I never even thought about, just because I'm lucky. But it'd be inundated. So, I mean, where do you see the future of this game going? I mean, are we all going to get our Oculus Rifts on and be like, and all bouncing around in our virtual podcast world? I mean, where do you see this?
I don't know. I mean, that's hard to say. I'm not a futurist. I really have no clue. But, you know, it's basically for us, I know that, you know, you're looking at like driverless cars and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a while before people aren't consuming audio only quality. And it's probably going to take the majority of the rest of my life to get to that point. Because people are like, no, you got to film stuff because people are gonna have, you know, YouTube channels everywhere, and like Apple TV has YouTube on it. And I'm thinking, that aside, if I'm sitting here talking to you, no matter how fascinating this information is, nobody wants to see me talking to you. They don't care. They want to go, they want to push weights up, and they want to run, jog, and cycle, and they want to drive, or they want to sit on the train and look out the window. They don't want to watch a video of me talking to you.
It's true.
There's just no desire there.
And we don't have big boobs or nothing, mate. So
yeah, there is nothing interesting about not you or I that requires people to watch us talk about what we're talking about, no matter how interesting it might be. And so I'm always about that. And I know that younger people love watching stuff on YouTube, but I also know that younger people don't want to watch anything for an hour.
No.
Unless it's a movie. So there's no way they're going to watch me talk to you for an hour. But they will, especially if they're ahead of their time, listen to something in an audio format where they can learn. And so, yeah, man, maybe I'm getting old, and maybe these young YouTube kiddies will start to, you know, crush ahead of me and stuff like that, but they're going to have to compete at the content level, and it's going to be really tough. And quite frankly, guys that are your age, my age, everyone older, and many that are younger are still going to be consuming audio-only quality content for as long as I can see.
Yeah, and it's just the ease of it, isn't it? I mean, you listen to podcasts anyway. And I think that's what it's done for people. Is it's like audiobook revolution, you know? Books started to die off, and what happened? Everyone started listening to audiobooks. And I think podcast is another amazing way to learn stuff fast. And I know with the Art of Charm, with what you're doing, I mean, let's talk about that, Jordan. I know you're very humble with what you do, but you've got an amazingly built company.
And I think a lot of people don't get it, and that's fine. Not everybody has to get it in order for you to make a really successful business, right? There's a lot of people that don't get Facebook either, but I don't think they're suffering too much.
No, not too much. What did I see the other day? It was a quote. It was actually on a friend of ours, Ty Lopez's podcast, and Ty was talking about. What was he saying? He was saying about a million things. But yeah, he was talking about just inch by inch, Charlie Munger, inch by inch with everything. And I think that even with podcasts and business and even learning new skills and new behavior, it takes a lot of work to build these things. I mean, going back 12 years ago when I first got to Australia, because you mentioned two countries, Australia and New Zealand, I lived in both of those. And that's where I started first learning NLP and behavior stuff. And it's amazing, even back then, it was 12 or so years ago, that I'd never been told in my life that you didn't have to think negative. And, you could think what you wanted and have different conversations and develop yourself into a different human being. I mean, for modern day people, I mean, you know better than me because of the job that you've got, but it's common knowledge, But 12 years ago for me, I'd never even been told that stuff, and now you've got a whole massive company built around it,
Yeah, exactly. Very strange. Yeah, it is interesting to see how this does shake out. I mean, we change the way that we think, we change the way that what we focus on, and now there's whole industries based around it. Who knew?
Who knew, man? I mean, where do you think entrepreneurs go wrong in general? Because you're obviously very successful at what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't surgically pinpoint everything that's wrong with entrepreneurs in general, but it is interesting to see where I see a lot of people go wrong. And again, it comes back to people by you, and this is mostly, perhaps I'm just focused on this topic extensively, but I notice a lot of people are like, I run this really great business and I do this and I do that. Props, power to you. But, a lot of these guys aren't very likable. And they're like, my platform, it does this and this and this and this and this. And it does this better and this is better and this is better. And I'm thinking, I don't care. I don't know the difference between you and your next competitor, but I like that other guy more. So I'm going to buy his product. And people are like, oh, you're so dumb. My thing solves this problem. And I'm like, I don't care. They'll figure that out eventually. And you'll be out of business. So what's the difference? Because people do buy you, and people think, no, I have the best sort of like technical solution to XYZ. So unless it's the only one, or unless it's really readily apparent what makes you different and better, then people are going to do business. And even then, most of the time, people are just going to do business with their friends, because people do business with people they like and trust. And if they don't like and trust you, then you might as well go home.
Yeah, it's the world's inundated, and do you think, like, I mean, again, I heard this quote the other day. There's like, we close to nearly 8 billion people in the world, or something crazy like that. And there was people were saying, well, business is so hard these days. And then the entrepreneur said, no, you can build anything. It doesn't matter how crazy or out there it is. 1 million people are still going to buy it because there's 7 billion or 8 billion people. So does he think, so with the way everything's going and with the podcast industry, do you think this cream still can rise to the top, or is it just...
Yeah, of course. I mean, it might be tougher to get noticed. Right. And in order to create a story, you actually have to have a story. You can't just manufacture crap anymore. And in fact, yeah, you can, but people are worried about that. But honestly, yeah, of course you can. You have to work harder, you have to hustle harder. But if you honestly only need a few thousand customers to start and maintain a business, well, there's 6 point whatever billion people. What is it? 6.3 billion people on the earth.
Right.
Your chances are pretty high that you can dope as many people, or a handful of those people, into doing what you need to do, right? Just to get your prototype off the ground. I mean, for God's sake, you only need 1,000 people. There's more people than that on my block right now in San Francisco.
Is that where you are, San Francisco?
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco. The Art of Charm headquarters is in LA. And our coaching staff is down there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's really not that hard to build and start something. It's only hard if you have no idea what you're doing, or you can't convince people. If you can sell people things, your product doesn't even need to be that good, which is scary. That will bite you in the ass, but you'll at least have a fighting chance. And that's why guys who do business development are some of the highest paid guys in Silicon Valley, because you'll get a tech guy who's making 300 grand because he is just like crucial, and he's the only guy who understands how to architect and code these crazy security systems and blah blah blah. But now when you're talking to him, the only guy that's making more than him might not even be the co-founder. It's going to be somebody who's in sales or business development, because those are the guys that set up the deals. And you'd be surprised, man. There's guys with mediocre sales guys, skill sets, running around San Francisco all day making $250,000+
I'm sure.
And I know this because I get job offers like every week to do business development for different startups or non-startups.
Oh, really?
Here in the city, because they're like, dude, this guy, they'll hear me speak and they're like, this is the kind of guy we need championing our stuff. How much would you take for this? And I can't break my focus from the art of charm because I know where we're going here. But
for sure.
It's funny because, if you can sell things, if you're a good front man, if you know that people buy you and you lean into that, then you will never starve.
It seems to be the way. I've been teaching my little niece, she's 12 now, since the age of about 4, how to negotiate and close deals. And I think I've created a little monster. She's either going to be like the head of the mafia, or she's going to be the president or something. I don't know, but she's pretty damn good. I'll tell you that. So
excellent.
Yeah, right. If you could rewind the clock 12 months or so, I mean, what do you think you'd do different, Jordan, over the last 12 months? Has everything been perfect?
Honestly, the last 12 months is one of the few time periods that everything has gone pretty right. But I would definitely say that going back a little bit further, I think I would focus much more on promoting the podcast and the show sooner than I did, because we focused a lot on a lot of different like product offerings and all this other stuff. But honestly, the show has never mistreated us, right? It's always been the one that brings in the customers and clients. It's always the one that connects us to the cool people that are a good fit for what we teach in our live programs. And it's always the primary driver of trust in business, and it's fun to do.
Sure.
So focusing on friggin' stupid sales copy crap and all that other garbage, I would have just thrown that aside. I would have skipped all that stuff.
Is that still important, though?
I don't know, but I'm not doing it. I think it's lame.
Exactly. I mean, how being an entrepreneur yourself, I mean, what are some of the routines, and especially being involved in the behavioral psychology and the neurolinguistics and everything that you do? I mean, what are some of the routines that you do to keep yourself in that peak state, that peak mindset?
I follow a calendar religiously, so I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, because I found that I was wasting a ton of brain power, like figuring out what I was going to do next and prioritizing on the fly and all this other dumb stuff. And it's like, wow, if I just plan my days out in advance, I never have this problem. And then so I did that. It worked really well. And now I have an assistant who plans all of my days out in advance. And of course I can veto anything I need to do, but my days are blocked off into 15-minute blocks. And that's tripled, quadrupled, whatever, sextupled my productivity, because before, people usually, they get up whenever and they go get coffee and then they go get a workout and blah, 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 blah. And then then they're hungry. And by the time they start their workday, they're like, oh man, I'm a little bit, wrecked. And then also they don't know exactly what they're going to do next and at what time.
Right.
So there's all this inertia that I just don't have.
It takes away that, I suppose, you're right. It takes away that pressure, that stress, just having things organized. I mean, personally, I've been without an assistant for a while, and I've just hired one for the same reason. I think it just makes you that little bit more efficient. For advice for entrepreneurs in general, I mean, because a lot of people listening to this podcast are either transitioning from a 9-to-5 into being an entrepreneur, or they're near the start of it. That's most of the listeners out there. I mean, is there any advice that you would? I mean, have you always been an entrepreneur, Jordan?
No. I used to work on Wall Street. I was an attorney, and so I just had like a regular, non-9 to like a 9-to-9 type of job. So I've never been like that, but I've always been a little bit of a hustler.
Okay.
In that I've always been like, oh, I can sell fireworks and make money. Oh, I can do this and make money. I was always trying to leverage stuff, but I was never really that hungry because I never really thought about it. But then when I became an employee, I was like, oh my God, this is bad. I don't know, why I can't get my shit together.
Right.
This is bad. I'm going to be the worst employee ever. I'm eventually going to get fired from this. They're going to figure out that I don't know what I'm doing and that I don't like this and all stuff. And then I thought, I don't know, I remember thinking, damn, this is going to suck, because it's going to be a rude awakening for me when I find out that I have to just quote unquote grow up and I can't, and I'm just a bad employee, you know.
Right,
and
right,
I
right.
thought, like, when is the other shoe gonna drop? And it never did, because the economy turned to crap, and I went, oh, the Art of Charm's doing okay, because I was doing both at the same time, and so I quit, and I never looked back. But
Interesting.
you know, it's interesting, because I thought I was doomed to this like life of, you know, being somebody else's employee and like figuring out how to get my shit together and just never having a clue.
It's funny how things change. Is that where you know Ben Altman from?
How do I know that person?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know too many people, mate. I think it all gets a bit of a blur, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's accurate. Yeah. Yeah, blur is quite accurate.
That's
I mean,
the way it is.
it's very hard to keep things together a lot of the time, which is not good. I have software for this. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally have to have software for this.
That's the best way. I mean, that's the best way. I mean, do you work like 7 days a week, 5 days a week? I'm just interested because you live in your passion for sure. You found what you love to do, and you're obviously brilliant at what you do, and you're getting this global success. So, is it like the passion is just like every day, all day, or how do you balance yourself?
Yeah, it's pretty much every day, all day.
Question. Would you be doing Christmas with your family in the UK and it's cold, it's wintry, it's, you know, and all of that? Or would you be going to the beach in California?
I mean, it depends. Do you have limited time off, or are you your own man?
I'm my own man.
Well, then spend family time with your family and take a vacation some other time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's wisdom for you. That's why you're right. And then I'll hit California in the new year. You just helped me out, buddy. You know?
And there's no guilt anywhere involved.
No guilt. And then I'm back to the beaches in the new year, and it starts to get warmer. I like that.
Exactly.
I like that. So what we're going to do, buddy, because I know you're a busy man. So something that we do on the show that people seem to like, they keep asking me about it, is I want to look inside your head. Because obviously, with what you do, and especially with what I do, everything's about mindset by design. And if it's for the everybody listening out there, is it you all understand that the software that plays in the background of our minds, that is all automatic. It's like the software that plays in the background of a computer. So when I asked in a moment, Jordan, I didn't prep you for this, buddy. Hope it's okay. Just gonna ask you like 4 words and the thoughts or feelings that come up that are already pre-programmed in your brain, and are playing automatic. Does that make sense, mate?
I don't know if it makes sense, but I'm willing to play.
Yeah, it was a bad description. So I appreciate that. So if I was to say the word business to you, what thoughts or feelings come up?
Energy.
Nice.
Action.
Nice. What feeling?
Probably like, I hate to say energy again, but like, you know, some sort of action, some sort of spark
That excitement.
of energy.
That.
Yeah, excitement. Mm-hmm.
Nice. What about money?
I don't know. I don't think about that a lot. Probably stability, actually.
Interesting.
Safety, something like that.
I mean, that's generally what I find with the really successful people that have been on the podcast. It's like from multi-millions that have ever been on. The general theme is that people who are not focusing on money, they're just focusing on building the business, and the money comes from that, right? It's a big difference of a mindset for everyone listening out there, you know?
It is. It's weird because people are always like, dude, I could give you this and you could get that and you could have options in this. And I'm like, it's a great offer. In fact, that's a lot of money. And over time, unless the business fails, which is a big if in San Francisco, but I'm like, unless the business fails, that's a really good offer, you know? And, and like, I would have to hustle, but I would still I would still probably be making more than I am right now. Or, you know, this could turn into something bigger and it's not me writing the check. So I could just kind of, if I had an off day, it'd be like, meh, whatever. You know, that kind of thing wouldn't be that big of a deal. And then I thought, no, I want to actually build. I've definitely chosen the art of charm over more lucrative opportunities that I could take my exact same skill set as somebody with an audience and the different sort of like technical and soft skill sets that I have built over the last 8 years at the art of charm. I could have definitely jumped ship, but it's my company. If I leave, it's done.
That's the thing, isn't it? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You know, do you think you've built yourself a beast that can't be stopped, or is it like you're just loving what you're doing and there's nothing else you'd rather do anyway?
Yeah, there's nothing else I'd rather do. People are always like, "Oh, you built yourself into a job." Ha ha. I'm trying to automate, and I'm like, "Okay, Mr. 4-hour work week." By the way, most people never do that. People who are trying to build stuff to automate, they often build lots of small things, which is great. That'll work. People who are trying to build big things and automate, usually it's a pipe dream.
Right.
And what I found that's common with all of those people. And I apologize if I'm offending any members of your audience, but it's just truth. And I think people who are doing this will realize if you're building something to automate, it's because everything that you do, you find pretty joyless and you're not really that passionate about it. Because if you're trying to automate so that you can go sit on a beach somewhere, people go, truthfully tell me you don't want to go sit on a beach in Thailand and collect a check. And I can truthfully say that I have no interest in going and sitting on a beach in Thailand and just collecting a check. I think that sounds boring as hell.
Right.
It sounds extremely lame.
I agree. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because it's even when I just lived in Bali for like 6 months, the last 6 months, and amazing, beautiful. But guess what? Like whether I'm insane, I'm not sure. Which is well, right, I'm insane. But the point was everyone's out playing and doing stuff, and I could have worked 3 hours. My clients would have paid me well enough money for the month, but still, I was doing 12-hour days. Just working on things and growing things and studying and learning. And again, it's because you love it and there's nothing else you'd rather do, right? And I think that's the hardest thing that people find is that something that they love, and then they just keep pushing towards it, and eventually it produces an income stream for you, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think that's true. I mean, I get that people want to automate, but I think once you find something that absolutely kicks ass, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm never going to look at this again. And
right.
People have these dreams about like, no, then I can just be C-level and like make decisions. It's like, it's not really where I'm at. I don't think that sounds fun.
Not really. So when we see, I say the word future to you, what comes in your head?
Children, family.
Oh, nice. I take it that's a good feeling, not fear.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. What about tomorrow? What comes in your head when you think about tomorrow?
Friends. To get some friends tomorrow. I know that's pretty specific and not what you were looking for, but I don't care.
There's no right or wrong, but I like it that he didn't care either. I like that. I mean, I know you're a busy boy. We're going to wrap up in a minute. We're going to keep these... People keep shouting at me because I keep doing these 10-minute tune-ups on my own and they last like an hour. So okay. I think this is going to be nice for people. It's going to be a shorter one. I'm going to do a little intro and outro, you know, but... It's short and snappy. Is there any big advice that you'd be giving to entrepreneurs in general? Anybody you giving advice to men out there who are you need that little kick up? Because this is where I want to maybe a little promo about your business. Is there anything? Where should they go? Because I've obviously put the links on for you at the intro and the start so people can find you, Jordan. But yeah, what would you be leaving them with? What would you be telling them to come to your course for?
I would say, again, people buy you. That's one of the things I keep going back to here at The Art of Charm. They don't buy your product. They don't buy your service. They first have to buy you. And that's a lot of what we teach at The Art of Charm during our live programs, but also, we start to touch on these subjects on our podcast, all of which are free, about body language, vocal tonality, eye contact, creating first impressions, the way you sit, stand, walk, talk, the way that you generate trust, rapport, get people to like you, get people to trust you, deal with difficult people, manage your reputation online, manage your relationships. All of those things are covered, over the 350 hours or whatever we have of free audio online. And also, of course, trained pretty specifically and tailored to you when you come to LA. So I'd say you're listening to a podcast right now. Check out The Art of Charm. It's free online anywhere you're listening to podcasts, or stream right from the website at theartofcharmpodcast.com, and start applying the stuff and see your own results go through the roof. And then email me, Jordan at theartofcharm.com, or give me a call and we'll figure out what to do from there. Boom.
Love it. And do all this. And everyone listening out there, Jordan's got the reputation for a reason. I mean, when I started doing all the neurolinguistics and the behavioral stuff in sales in Sydney in Australia, the reason why I was like the top performer in Australia and New Zealand selling investment real estate was everything he just said. It's being able to walk into a room, understand and be totally aware of yourself and the other person and connect with them organically and originally, and also through skills and techniques, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Well, Jordan's obviously, it's time to go, Jordan.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Absolutely, mate. That was fun. It was short, fast, and furious, but absolutely love it. Thank you so much, buddy. And I'll post your links everywhere. And I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
You have a fantastic day, bud. Bye-bye. So, crew, there we go. End of episode 294. The best of Mindset by Design. And today we had Jordan Harbinger. Did you love Jordan? Jordan's an inspiration, amazing, and he said he wasn't a futurist, but he kind of worked a lot of things out, right? But definitely go and check his link out, definitely check his show out. He's unbelievable. I'm a huge fan, and yeah, it was always an honor to have people like that on the show. Speaking of honor, make sure you're heading over to the show notes. And where you going? First, guess where you need to go. Make sure that you are heading over to the Facebook group. All you have to do is search for Andy Murphy Mindset and the group will come up. So go and do that now. The other thing you have to do is tune your unconscious mind up, the brain software in the morning. Stop allowing anxiety to run you. Stop allowing just writing notes to think that it's going to create permanent change. It is not. So guess what? You have the Fire Mind morning right there ready for you to grab. It's firemind.me. If you want to go and find out what the Firemind formula and the Firemind experience is all about, remember, mastermind, mentor, training all in one place. Guess what? You need to be involved. So go to firemind.me/apply-for-Firemind, or go to the show notes. Either or, but from there you can watch trainings, connect with us, do all good stuff, and find out everything that you need to get started today. So until I speak to you, have an amazing week, an amazing day, much love, and one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.